welcome to Blender Clinic. Today I'm going to be talking to you about blinking, a subject that is close to my heart because I love blinking. I do. If you know me personally or you've seen any of my YouTube videos, you'll probably be very aware that when I'm tired and stressed, I blink more. And you know, I'm frequently tired and stressed when I'm doing these videos because that's when production is busy. So blinking, it's something I do a great deal of, and unsurprisingly, when I'm animating, it's something I also do a great deal of. Blinking in animation is actually a really versatile tool for expressing and emoting with your character, and it's so much more than just free keyframes, which is, you know, what we're going to take a look at today. So I've got a very unusual rig and it's a little bit broken, so it needs a bit of love. So I'm just doing these blink tests to figure out what it can, what it needs. So let's take a look. Also, it is currently, I'm using the simplify modifier, so it's not what it actually looks like when it's rendered. This is just, you know, for zippy animation. So let's take a look. So we've got these two blink controllers. I've already set. I've selected all, hit I, and put keyframe on my whole character. I've got auto keying on. I'm going to go forward 10 frames. I'm going to hit Alt G and Alt G on those two, and actually on these tweak lids controls, just because my default position is that the eye being closed. So I've just reset their translations and rotations to achieve that. And then on frame 20, I'm going to grab the initial keyframes with all those controllers selected. I'm going to grab those initial keyframes, Shift D, and duplicate those keyframes over to frame 20. And now we have a blink. And most people would probably stop there. Well, maybe not most animators, but a lot of beginners will sort of stop at that point. I'm just going to set my loop down to 30, so we get a little blink. Okay, so is it good enough? Sure, for some things, I'm sure that is good enough, but we want to take this slightly further. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these two blink controllers and I'm going to Shift D to duplicate the keyframe, move it forward 2 frames, and then on that frame, I'm going to create some anticipation by moving the upper lid up a little, the lower lid down a little. And now, rather than go directly from open to closed, it'll go a little more open first and then closed. Okay. Now, I don't know what I did on this. I think I've accidentally added some keyframes here, which I didn't intend to do. So I'll just delete those at the end. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the last keyframe. What can we do with the last keyframe? Well, again, we could do overshoot. So where it opens too much and then settles. So in order to do that, well, I'm just going to duplicate those keyframes I just made and put them before my last keyframe. So now it goes open. So it's open, closed, more open, open. And I think that overshoot is too hard. So I'm just going to drag my keyframes here a little bit further along. I think most of that hardness actually comes from the geometry being a bit too sharp. There we go. So yeah, that looks fine. What else? Well, you're probably going to want the eyes to remain shut a little bit longer. So let's take our central keyframe, Shift D, and duplicate that. And that's nice. What else can we do? Well, when you've got two eyelids making contact with each other, that is an impact. So rather than going like this and then decelerating and stopping, you want it to go slow, fast, hard stop. Yeah. So just like if you have a hand slamming down on a table, it doesn't decelerate into it. It's a hard stop. It accelerates until stopping. So that's what we're going to do. Easiest way to do that, select your keyframe, mousing over the dope sheet, hit V, change it to a vector. As you can see there in the curves, it changes instantly. And now we've got, so it accelerates into that, which also allows it still to come out slowly of that second keyframe. So accelerates in, holds, and then eases out. So that's pretty perfect. for what we need. What else can we do? Well, I'd like the actual eyelids to push, so the upper lid, as it closes, pushes the lower lid down. Now, normally I build this in with a floor constraint into my rig, but for some reason in this this prototype rig, that didn't happen. So I'm going to have to do it manually. So on this keyframe, actually, they can make contact, and then on the second of those of the closed keyframes, I'm going to pull this controller down slightly. And unfortunately, this upper constraint, that's as far as it goes. But fortunately, I do have these tweak bones, which allow me to manually pull that all in. Okay. So I think that is a much more appealing blink from what we started with. Other things you could do with that is actually, I mean, with this rig in particular, we've got quite a lot of control here. We've got all these little tweak bones. And what you could do is start adding individual sort of tweaks, so that the eyelid peels away from the center first and stays closed at the edges initially. Yeah. Now, again, many rigs will do this. Well, not many rigs, but some more advanced rigs will do this automatically. And just God knows why, because I love, God knows why I haven't built that into this rig. I mean, I do know why. Lack of time. Just wrangling the fact that these didn't have keyframes at the start. So blop. By this point, I think we'll probably want them to be reset. They'll have relaxed again. So, I mean, the sticky lid sort of animation there it's a bit excessive. But seeing as you can take all of this and put it into an NLA strip and reuse it and recycle it time and time again and retime it, it's quite useful. Do you know what I mean? You can do more. And you know, you do more at the start and then recycle it, and then you've got this reusable asset that gives you this really quality sort of piece of animation that is used so much throughout the piece. So there we go. In fact, you could bake all of this into an action bone. In fact, I might do that for this rig, because that would save me having to actually build a whole new eyelid rig. He said lazily. Trying to be efficient with time. It's efficiency, not laziness. Right. What else could we do? Well, I mean, with something like this, you can always, you know, maybe their character starts off angry, blinks, and then they've reconsidered. It's like the moment of realization, because you can use blinks to punctuate and transition between different things. In fact, that's a really great way of doing things. So we could have them transitioning as they go, they're angry, and then they realize, oh no, what's happened to this person is terrible. So they go blink and come out a more sympathetic kind of character. So now we can use it as a transition. That's great. What else can we do? Oop. Oh, actually, that's far more sad, isn't it? Angie. Sad. Angie. feel like this should reverse actually. I feel like it's a better expression at the end, but for the readability of what I'm trying to do. Yeah, so there we go. What else can we do? Okay, blinking isn't just about the eyes. I blink with my whole body because I'm a freak. But no, you can add stuff like in the motion. So like if this character were, they're about to blink. In fact, actually, before we do that, let's just transfer all of this over to the other eye. And we're going to copy those keyframes, move over here, beep, and we're going to paste flipped. And immediately I'm seeing some issues there. So maybe I've got, let's just check these bones are all named correctly. Yeah, seems okay. Oh, I see what it is. It's just, I thought that there was a misnaming of bones and that's why it hadn't flipped them properly. But I'm going to insert keyframes on everything. Apparently some of them don't want to keyframe. I wonder what that's about. Have I got only insert needed or something ridiculous on? Animation, no. Thank you. I wonder why it wasn't doing that. That's a new one on me. Haven't experienced that before, at least not knowingly. Paste flipped. Better. Okay, so now we have two eyelids blinking. Now, you don't always have to have them working in concert. You can, have one going like slightly slower or off sync, and that will typically get you a bit more of an organic feel. Maybe just move it back a keyframe. Or scale it back a little bit and then move it back a keyframe. Again, I feel like, do you know what? I don't know why this is not adding keyframes properly or why it is not, but I'm getting very frustrated to find these issues. Yeah, it's not keying all of the bones. Why would it not key all of the bones? Have we got something in our, have we got a keying set? Flipping Nora. Having to manually just nudge all of these bones, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a bug. We are using an alpha copy of Blender, so these things do happen. But what an annoying thing to have to deal with. Paste flipped. Okay, that seems to be working. God knows. Why is that one not? I'm going to have an absolute meltdown in a moment. copy, paste flipped. Using Control Shift and M just to switch between the bones and check that we actually have the same sort of animation going on. Okay, so right, now we've got that. Let's take this and maybe offset it ever so slightly. Maybe scale it ever so slightly. And now we've got two separate eyes working independently. You might want to put more detail into that. But yeah, what else can we do? So typically, if my character is performing a motion, so we might start, at this position, I will have them sort of dip with the blink. So I will angle the head forward slightly, pull it down. Maybe duplicate that. So exactly the same sort of motion as the eyelids, in fact, including a little bit of overlap. Except this wouldn't be an impact. The head down wouldn't be an impact. It's all smooth transitions. I've got to admit this. I overcooked that slightly. Let's take it back. Yeah, too out of sync with each other. For my tastes, at least. If the wackier a character is, the more independent you'll have you can have your eyes moving. I think that tends to work quite well. Also says terrible things about me and my wacky blinking. So there we go. So now we've got this bob with the blink. I wouldn't typically include the bob necessarily in the NLA, by the way. That's saying which it could interfere with other processes. And we've got a squash and stretch control, so let's make use of that. So the character's form is breathing a little bit. And again, I might sort of be tempted to give the mouth a little bit of life. Even if there was no prescribed animation for that, for the mouth, just giving it a little bit of life into it is probably a solid idea. Obviously, then once you've done that much, I mean, you might as well look at the secondaries. So I mean, this hair is never supposed to be straight anyway. Okay, so that would be a blink. Actually, I kind of don't like how I've done those, so let's just render that out. Just to see how that looks in real time with all the subdiv and whatnot on. Yeah, it's not going to be my greatest work, obviously, but you know, but it's just showing a practical way of adding more detail and more life in a blink. So it's not these dead eyes. It's got something, you know, even with these unusual designs of, you know, the pupilless black eyes that John Ball, who I'm working with, prefers to use, is that there's still life in the character. It's not just, you know, it's not just clunk, clunk. Just waiting for that. That's an unusually long render. It's because I did not set the keyframes in my render to 35. I'm trying to do 300 keyframes because this is stupid. Or maybe I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Won't be a second. Okay, that's done. And here we are. Obviously, it doesn't loop because it wasn't intended to loop. It's sort of going between those two emotions. But it's got a little bit more than just a, you know, a flat blink. In fact, I should have like moved the character's head angled and all sorts in there. But I think that's enough for now. That's just a little sort of little idea on how I look at blinking. How I look at blinking. You can't look at blinking; your eyes are closed. And yeah, hopefully it'll be of use to you. And you know, it's something you can build on. There's so much more which you can do with these tiny micro movements, but you know, I don't have all day, and neither do you. So go and explore.